I'm Castaneda here, ex-Marine Sergeant, having technical difficulties, but today I wanted to talk to you as a recovery coach and life coach and an ex-Marine, mainly focusing on recovery from drug addiction, okay? As a recovery coach, what process a drug addict might need to go through to maintain sobriety and to maintain staying clear-headed, to maintain staying sane, to maintain staying abstinent from drugs and healthy. Okay, and we're gonna go through some steps. I also wanted to discuss, how on the street, fentanyl drug dealers, they're not gonna care who they sell to. They're not gonna care the age of their customers. If it's a teenage girl, a young kid, or an adult, they just sell pills to anyone. They have these sociopathic and psychopathic tendencies to manipulate their victims, to call them up, hit them up, and try to be aggressive in nature, and force them, with maybe threats or coercion or just manipulation. And they have that domineering effect to where, the drug addict, they're just like, well, they're just so addicted with the psychological chemical dependence and manipulated by their drug dealer, always hitting them up. So some of the things I'll discuss is like, deleting all your contacts, deleting all your social media, changing your phone number, leaving town, and leaving the state and city if you need to, right? Finding somewhere. You could always stay at a hospital. Just tell them you're, a threat to yourself, or maybe you're hearing voices, or you don't feel safe and you need somewhere to stay. There's also like shelters, homeless shelters, battered women's shelters, places you could stay, right? Either with his family or sometimes like a psych unit. I know for me, personally, as a psych patient, with my background with mental illness and psychiatric conditions, I could stay anywhere in the state, all across America, drive anywhere, any state, and have 3 hots in a bed. I could just go to any hospital, tell them I'm hearing voices, or tell them I'm sick, I'm a threat to myself or something, and they have to let me stay. There's certain laws where, like, if I'm a threat, especially if I'm a threat to someone else, but if I'm having command hallucinations and command voices, they have to admit me to a hospital. They give me a little pill, little Zyprexa or something, maybe some Haldol or something. I take a little pill, get tired, chill out, go to sleep, watch TV. But it's a safe haven. It gives me a place to chill, relax, be safe. And if you have family, it could be a place to just get together, get all your shit together, get everything together, figure out where you're gonna stay, how you're gonna make money, where you're gonna live, and all that. Whether it's an RV, apartment, a house, whatever you can afford, right? If you're selling your home or have to move to somewhere, into some sort of, type of just, what is it called? So those RVs or mobile homes or trailer homes, or, a smaller, more affordable type of living environment, right? And it could just be temporary, right? Just to keep you safe, to stay off the radar, to disappear off the radar from any drug dealer, any gangs, just disappear off the radar. You don't have to live in the woods and all that crazy stuff, but just not letting anyone know where you're going, or where, unless it's like your real family, not just people who are not directly related to, right? But just somewhere off radar. Going to a city, once you feel comfortable and safe, live where you really want to. Okay, that's what I've done. I used to live in apartments. Now I got a place to where I feel safe in my community. My neighbors are nice, my community's nice, people are good around here, hard workers, and traditional in nature. There's a lot of family type of people here who are family oriented, goal oriented, mission oriented, career oriented, focused on their education, high education, and things like that. Okay, so I'm still working my way up to those levels, but if you want to go to places like that, you're gonna have to work hard and do what you have to level up. Okay. As a recovery coach, just making sure my camera's still working, technical difficulties aren't giving me problems. As a recovery coach, here are one of the things I want to say. Okay, you're gonna have to think about the pros and cons. If you're a drug addict, or you have a family member who's a drug addict and they're listening to this, or you introduce them to this content, think about the pros and cons of doing drugs, right? Pros and cons of being sober, pros and cons of doing drugs, and how it's helping. Are drugs helping you level up your career, level up your life, level up your relationships, and level up your future? If you do drugs and you could go to college and ace everything, like it's easy for you, not many people can. I don't know too many people who do drugs and become doctors and lawyers. I know some of them do, but when they have a case or a client, or they're doing surgery, they're really going to be messed up coordination. Their mind's not going to be working right because the drugs mess up the neurotransmitters, and they're not functioning or thinking straight. They're not thinking correctly, not normally. Okay, so their heart's going to be racing, all sorts of stuff. They're going to be sweating. They're going to be like having all sorts of euphoria and all these messed up things going on with their hormones and neurotransmitters and equilibrium and all that stuff. So those are a lot of negative cons. To where, what are the pros, right? You feel good for a couple hours, but you didn't accomplish anything. You didn't get a degree, you didn't get a certificate, you didn't make any more money, legally anyway, right? And you didn't really support your family. You got, if they're doing drugs, you're just chilling, playing games, watching movies, or you're partying. You could be partying and having all this hedonistic fun or whatever, but that's not an environment that's really safe. STDs get spread, HIV gets spread, or whatever's going on. People having promiscuous sex, and it could be fun, but then you catch something, and you're like, damn, was it worth it? So you can have fun, and you can have fun doing the safe thing and meeting the right people, meeting good people. For me, I focus on Christianity and meeting the right people, and not getting involved in all those crazy raves and people doing shrooms and acid and all this crazy stuff and spreading disease. And I've seen it. People I know have caught HIV, and I stay away from all of them, right? I've cut a lot of people off, and they just they spiral downward. This is spiral downwards I've talked about before. And if you're watching this, I want you to spiral in a ascending upward spiral, right, to the top, to success. Another thing you're going to have to think about, so there's obviously not really any pros to drugs. You feel good for a little bit, it's temporary, and it's synthetic. It's not real. You're not accomplishing anything. You're not proud of things. You're not proud of supporting your family, or proud of the hard work you put in today and your achievements, your degrees and certifications, and making money legally and supporting your household and being the man of the household or the woman of the household. Those are things you should be proud of, and drugs are not going to help you accomplish that. Okay. So the bucket list, you could save a rescue dog, buy a house, fall in love, be a champion at something, be an expert at something, be an expert at computers, be an expert at law, go to law school, do stuff in the medical field, become a registered nurse or an LVN or a phlebotomist or even a doctor or psychiatrist or whatever. Like, do the best you can, but whatever your capabilities are. Understand your abilities and your skills and your ambitions when you're clean and sober. Because when you're clean and sober, you're a million times more capable and competent to achieve things and do things you didn't think you could do before, right? If you're doing drugs, you're a million times less capable of accomplishing what you could accomplish if you were clean and sober. Okay. So a list of things you're grateful for. Everything you're grateful for. I know drugs can make you feel grateful and this and that, but when you're clean and sober, think about if you do drugs, you could end up in jail, on the street, shot dead from your drug dealer or other addicts and fiends and stuff like that. So it's difficult to be grateful when drugs put you in that kind of environment, a situation like that, because you're going to lose health depending on the drugs you do. Cocaine, meth, ecstasy, a lot of I think LSD, shrooms, heroin, opiates, pills, PCP, DXM, all that stuff. All these, some of these like over the counter or stuff you make, crystal meth you can make with Sudafed and all that stuff, and it's just so potent. People die from that. It doesn't even take fentanyl sometimes. People just have heart attacks from the cocaine and meth. It's just so strong, and they die from that. Okay, so you think of things you're grateful for when you're clean, right? Your health, your competence, your vision, your skin, your teeth, your health, your bones, your heart, your liver and your kidneys are functioning. Your organs are functioning properly. Your digestive tract, you're not all constipated, or you're not having hot flashes or nosebleeds and all that stuff, and you're not falling on the ground or acting manic and doing all this crazy stuff like you're gonna rob a bank or something, right? You should be thinking of working at a bank and doing something for the community, doing something for the people, and doing something honorably and noble, right? So robbing a bank, I mean, if you're really hungry and you're starving, just go to HEB, take a loaf of bread, get some sandwich meat, and just make a sandwich in the store and eat it. And then you'll be nourished for temporarily. They'll take you to jail probably, and you'll get 3 hots and a cot in jail for a little bit. Just tell them you were starving to death. If you're really starving, your family's starving, just go to H-E-B, make a sandwich, eat it. You know, that simple. Whatever you want, canned food, whatever. You know, they'll get you help. They'll find out. You know, instead of going on the street and really starving, some people did. I believe in the Great Depression, and I believe senior citizens still have difficulty affording food and all that. But if you're really struggling, you do what you have to survive without hurting anybody. You don't have to rob anybody. The food's there, right? And you're just doing what you have to survive and feed your family. And that's the last resort, okay? Obviously, you have to use critical thinking skills, because I can't recommend anything. That's just an idea I think of sometimes, right? If I was in a situation like that. So write a goodbye letter to your addiction. Okay, that's another one on the list. And you can write it down, put it on your wall, save it, put it in your wallet. You could flush it, tear it up, whatever. But write a goodbye letter to your addiction. You know, saying you're no longer going to have this relationship with heroin, drugs, meth, fentanyl, whatever you're addicted to, or even alcohol, right? Because even that causes brain damage and liver damage and cirrhosis of the liver, and you can't effectively communicate with your family, appropriate feelings or anything like that, or clear communication, and it leads to a lot of domestic violence as well. Okay, so another one on the list is write a letter to family making amends, right? If you've hurt your family, if you've been disrespectful, if you've hurt them in any way, shape, or form, or you've said things or been violent, or taken money from them, or stolen money, or borrowed money and didn't pay them back, write a letter making amends. Pay them back somehow. Work, get a job, find something that you're good at, and somehow slowly pay them back, even if it's $5 a month or whatever. Just show that you're trying, and do your best to make amends to your family. Okay, just be there for events. Be there. Positive words of appreciation, positive words of encouragement, of inspiration and motivation, and bravery and things of that nature. Okay, just positive words to encourage your family, and let them know that you're doing the right thing to step up your game and level up, and move up in the world. Okay, so another thing is write another thing on the list. I'm speaking as a recovery coach, as a reminder, but write your obituary as if you died from addiction. Okay, if you died from addiction, write your obituary, what your family would put on your obituary, what they would say at your funeral. Okay, if you died from addiction, they would cry, they would say he's sad, you'd end up on a documentary maybe, and they would have to bury you, pay all this money for the funeral and casket, and they would never get to see you again, or be there with you, or talk to you, or go anywhere with you and spend time with you, and see you grow as an individual, and see you grow as a father, mother, brother, sister, and whatever you're whatever you were. So and then also write a letter as if you lived a full life, right? If you lived a full life, what would your obituary look like if you lived a full life, okay? And a full healthy life, right? What would you do if you lived to be 80, 90, 100 years old in your entire life? Would you be that wise old, person, that wise old man or wise old woman, right? Saving every penny, giving words of wisdom to just strangers, or words of wisdom to people on the street, or to journalists and stuff like that, to your friends and family, okay? If you lived a full life, where would you live? Where would you go? Who would you be with? Who would your partner be? Stuff like that. Where would you, what city, what state, what kind of house would you get? Would you live in an apartment? All your plans for the future, where you would work and your career, what kind of education would you have? What kind of internships would you go through? And things like that. What kind of certifications would you get? What would you want to specialize in? Okay, for me, recovery coaching, life coaching, addictions, and things like that. And then also interventionist, right? So I want to, I know traveling all over the state is difficult, so virtually I'm able to speak about these things that maybe change people's lives. Okay, so this is something else that people can emulate and help people in their circle of friends. Okay, so we'll talk about more about that later. Another thing is write a legacy letter. This is very important. This is the highlight of this whole episode right here. Like, what would your legacy be? Okay, your legacy as a man or woman, an individual, an American citizen, or anyone across the globe, right, who's listening to this, right? What would your legacy look like? What would your legacy be? Now, MLK, Martin Luther King Jr., has a statue in his name, all that civil rights movement and all that stuff. Barack Obama, first black president, and all that stuff. Rosa Parks, not giving up her bus on the seat. All sorts. Susan B. Anthony fighting for women's rights. Okay, and people like that. The Wright brothers, developing the plane, right? And all these inventions. Henry Ford, the vehicle. Bill Gates and all that stuff with Microsoft. So Elon Musk with SpaceX and Tesla and Neuralink and all automated vehicles and all that stuff, and Starlink, all that stuff, and satellites in space, giving anyone in the world internet pretty much. So your legacy can be anything. Inventing a software, getting good with computers, getting good with law. I've studied as a paralegal. I've studied the law. I've studied different things, and obviously life coach, recovery coach, and interventionist, intervention professional. And I also have a military background and a few other things as an author, as a writer, as a vlogger, things like that, okay? As a family man, a brother, a Christian. So I have an extensive, diverse background, okay? So your legacy letter, how do you want to be remembered? When you die, whenever that is, 30, 40, 50, whenever you die, right? If it's natural causes, hopefully you die at an old age, 90, 100, maybe 80, something like that, where you're still in good health and you're not in any pain or anything like that. But however the case is, right? A natural, long life, and long, healthy life. And, what would your legacy be? What would you leave behind? How many kids would you leave behind? What kind of wisdom would you bestow unto them? What kind of property would you leave behind? What kind of messages would you leave behind? And how would you change the world? What would your impact be in society, okay? What would you teach the world? What would your final words be? If you had a time capsule and you buried it and people dug it up 50 or 100 years later, what would you want in that time capsule? What would be on that thumb drive, on that hard drive, and on those documents? Would there be bonds or money, or would there be information or documents or photos and pictures of you and your family and how you lived your life, how you spent your life, making slideshows for families or videos for family and stuff like that, and for your friends and loved ones, clean and sober, not all drugs and inebriated and intoxicated, vomiting and having all these issues, right? Or getting hospitalized for stupid things, or overdosing and stuff like that, or injecting and getting infected with disease or whatever. But something, obviously, the wisest thing you could do, if you left your legacy behind, how would it look like if it was the wisest possible route, the wisest, most impactful thing you could do for society and the community and your friends and family, okay? They may or may not build a statue out of you, okay? But they may speak about you in textbooks. There might be books written about you in the future. Your family could write a novel or book about you. There could be an autobiography, something like that, to where you could leave behind and change someone's life in the future, even if it's 100 or 1,000 years from now. You could change a few lives, maybe a lot of lives. So what kind of legacy would you leave behind, okay? Just dying as a drug addict, overdosing, or making dumb decisions, or hanging around the wrong crowd and joining a gang and all that, or doing something really positive for your community, okay? So how do you want to be remembered? What's your legacy? Also, random acts of kindness, okay? What's a few things you could do a day? Holding the door open for a woman, saying good morning, telling a woman that, she looks nice today, glad to see you. Call your family, call your dad, call your mom if they're still alive, call your step parents or your brother and sister every now and then. Say, how you doing? Just want to, hang out for a little bit. Maybe we could have a Google chat or Zoom meeting and just hang out for a little bit. Or I could drive over here. We could have some coffee, just walk around and, buy some knickknacks or something like that, and just hang out, spend some quality time together, tell some stories, shoot the shit, and that's what people do these days, right? And that's a clean, productive way to build bonds and relationships, okay, with your family, with your real family. Not just these friends who are doing drugs and want to get high and take your money and steal your shit and watch you overdose and die. Then they're not going to care. Any drug dealer, I don't believe in the world that there's a single drug dealer in the world that has ever paid for their customer's funeral, right? If I'm a drug dealer and my goal is to make money, sell drugs, and if a bunch of my clients die, or even just one client dies, one of my drug addicts, a fiend, right? A fiend, he's a fiend or she's a fiend. You think I'm gonna pay my drug money for their funeral? like for their family, or I mean, it could be expensive, $10,000 or more or less, depending around that, right? So something like that. And even if it was just $1,000, even if it's $100, drug dealers don't usually pay the families or for the funerals of their victims. Okay, they want to disappear. They don't want to leave a trace. There's not going to be a money trace. They don't care. Their goal is to make more money. They got bills to pay. They're out there living in a trap house. They're out there, they got food. They get some bread and butter. They got to eat. It's the main thing. They might have kids too, right? And it's kind of like a psychopathic thing. They don't understand, really. They don't have empathy. And if they did have some feeling, I'm sure they know it's wrong. Do they really have remorse? I doubt it. They just don't have those feelings. They're just born into that environment. They could be it could be a learned trait, like a sociopathic tendency where society just molded them in that environment. Okay. And also, so random acts of kindness. Okay, we'll go back to that. What's another random acts of kindness you could do? Okay, sometimes it's paying it forward, paying for someone's groceries, paying. It doesn't always have to be about money. It could be like, if you have some food, maybe giving some food to a homeless person on the street if they really need a sandwich or some food or something. Like, I've given homeless people canned tuna fish, canned food, bread and stuff like that, just regular, when I was young too. And sometimes, like homeless women, I'll give them some money. It's all I have. Sometimes if they're really struggling and they just end up where they're at. I don't know if they're doing some sort of documentary for college. I don't know if it's legit. Because how could it's difficult to understand these people's situation, how they ended up there, how their family could let them end up there, let them do that, why they would put themselves in danger on the street. But some of them look healthy. Some of them, they just are a little bit worried about work or stressed, or it's difficult to find work and find a job. And working for the government can be a little bit, sometimes people are not too fond of working for the government, I'd say, to say the least. They're kind of anti-government, or they just don't agree with certain policies or things in nature, or maybe they don't get along with some of the people in government, okay? So they just end up on the street sometimes. But a random act of kindness could be, maybe setting them up, taking them to a shelter, giving them some food, a few dollars, a couple dollars sometimes. I know some people that sometimes give homeless people $20. That's a lot of money for a lot of people lower class or even middle class. And I've given $10-20 to homeless people before, and at the time I thought that was the best idea. But I also gave them a book to read, and then I also gave them a sheet of paper that I printed out for directions to a shelter, so that they could have the address and they could either get a ride there, however they get there, walk there, have a friend take them, or a taxi or whatever. He could use the money. It wasn't maybe enough for a taxi, but he could get there somehow now, right? Directions to a shelter, a book to read, a religious book to help his soul and his spirit and his mindset, and also some money, okay, for food. So random acts of kindness, okay? You could be creative with that, okay? Calling your friends and family, calling your, hanging out, like I said. Also, like, another thing you'd want to do if you're in recovery, and these are all recovery steps, okay? Things you can do. Treat yourself, right? Instead of doing drugs or anything, instead of feeling that euphoric, doing all these drugs, getting high, treat yourself to a spa, a movie. Go wherever you want. Your favorite diner, okay? Your favorite book, okay? Have a nice dinner. Go out with a friend or someone you really care about, or your friends and family and stuff like that, and have a get together, a reunion or something like that. Celebrate. It doesn't have to be any special day, but stuff like that. Treat yourself. And that could be like physical exercise, hitting the gym, going to the sauna, drinking a good amount of water for the day. It could be eating something very healthy salad with seafood, or mix it with chicken or whatever you want to, like a chicken salad. Do something really healthy for yourself. Take your vitamins, your supplements, and get some exercise, because you'll develop muscle. You'll get stronger. You'll build strength, endurance. Okay, and that helps balance out neurotransmitters in the brain. Exercise, cardiovascular, calisthenics, things like that, right? Do some free weights. You could just do light weights. If it's if you're a man or woman watching this, even women, you could go to the gym and not do too much weights, right? Men obviously can lift more, but for me, I don't do like super heavy lifting anymore, right? I'm taking care of my heart. Your heart's the leading cause of death in America is heart disease, okay? And if you don't monitor your blood pressure or monitor your heart rate, right, you're just prone to it being a silent killer for you, right? It'll just creep up on you. You don't know it. Then you have high blood pressure, and by the time you get stroke or heart attack, it's too late. So you need to monitor it when you can. Get your blood pressure, get a machine, take a pulsometer, check your pulse, get a Fitbit watch or an Apple iWatch, check your pulse, see where it's at. And if it's high, see a doctor, right? See a doctor, see a cardiologist, get on some heart medicine, and use certain apps and set your alarms so you're adherent and you take it on time, every 12 or 24 hours, whatever they set it as, okay? So you have to maintain your health, and just so you know, as being heart disease being the number one killer in America, 800,000 people die a year from heart disease alone, cardiovascular disease, atherosclerosis, heart attacks, strokes, and things like that. So you have to look out for that, monitor your health, and be a competent member of society, right? And if you're competent, then you're going to know about your health, you're going to know about recovery, you're going to know about drugs, you're going to know about technologies, the law, your family, relationships. You're going to know about a lot of different things, okay? And some of the stuff I'm saying might be fundamental, right? Or to me, it's intermediate, right? But I'm still learning a lot of things as I age. Hopefully some of this stuff is helpful, okay? So maintain, your physical health, which, when you do that, you can also focus on your mental health, right? Doing things for your brain. You can also take nootropics, and if you know what nootropic is, they have certain things like Nuept or lion's mane. Specifically for me, I'll let you in on, my secret. I take lion's mane, which is for brain plasticity and neurotransmitter functioning, okay? I take lion's mane, and that helps with cognitive function and memory, okay? So if you need it, you need it. For me, I consider myself, I'm not like really mentally handicapped. Some people might think so, but I am a little slow sometimes or stumble over my words. It's hard for me to find words sometimes. I've been addicted to certain drugs and alcohol before, where I was mixing pills and alcohol, and I had liver damage, my abnormal liver function. I could have died from that. And then also like a lot of brain disorders where I got labeled with a lot of psychiatric conditions. I could not even speak the English language. I forgot. That's the only language I speak, and I couldn't even speak it. And because I couldn't think of words, my thoughts weren't working, right? So whatever those drugs I was doing, it damaged pretty significant, parts of my brain, right? Responsible for motor functioning or thought processing and cognitive functioning and memory especially, right? Because I couldn't remember experiences. If someone talked to me, I don't even know what they said. I'll just look at them and walk away and just like, I don't know what they're talking about. I didn't even care. But, it took me a while to recover, okay? Medicine, there's obviously some psych medicine can help balance neurotransmitters, eating right, dieting, exercising, drinking water, electrolytes and things like that to stay hydrated, and taking your supplements, right? You could take stuff for heart health, brain health, liver and kidney health, GI tract health, your intestinal health, fiber, take fiber, psyllium husk, and things like that, your probiotics and prebiotics, okay? These are things that I do and I've implemented in my life, and I exercise and I hit the gym as much as possible, and I do the right thing. You got to keep your mind active, study something, okay? Whatever your goals and ambitions are, whatever you want your skill to be, your skill set, whatever you want to become expert at, be a champion at, whether it's relationships or recovery coaching or computers or law or medical field or, learning a trade, just driving a truck, welding, could be building, working on ACs, climbing a radio tower, like I've spoken about before, okay? It could be anything. Become expert at something and keep your mind active, and that'll keep your brain healthy as well, okay? Prevents dementia and things like that. Another thing on the list, okay, skills, ambitions, what you'll be well known for, what you'll be famous for, what you'll be well known for, okay? I might be well known for some of these videos, vlogs, maybe my crimes, my offenses in the past, or maybe things I've said to certain people, or my kindness, acts of kindness, okay? It could be, tipping the waitress a little bit extra or double, like 20-30%, more than 15%, maybe 50%. I had a friend, she ordered a pizza for all of us at this get together, and the pizza might have been like 20, 30 bucks, and she paid the guy like $60. Like, she paid the guy more, higher tip than what the pizza cost, right? So she knew the guy, and that was her friend. But you can be really generous with tips sometimes, and it doesn't have to be thousands of dollars if you're not rich or a rock star or movie star or anything like that. But it could be like, 20, 30, 50 bucks. And it's just a one-time thing, right? Once a year, something like that. You're just really generous, right? Just depending on how kind the waitress was or the waiter was. So what you could be known for. You could be known for anything. What you'll be famous or well known for, right? What your skill level is, who you've helped, things you've said, words of wisdom you bestowed to your family, and things like that, right? Taking care of your family, going out to the batting cages, baseball, things like that. Whatever you do with your family, what you'll be known for, okay? Make sure we're not having technical difficulties. Okay, develop an action plan. Your action plan is your goals, right? All the goals, make sure they're actionable, right? They're called SMART goals. I believe it's specific, measurable, actionable, specific, measurable, actionable, and I believe, R and T, something like, we'll talk more about that later. But you want to be specific, measurable, actionable, and make sure they're realistic, okay? Realistic and timely, okay? That's what SMART stands for. Specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and timely, okay? So that's a SMART goal. Develop an action plan. I'm going to wrap this up here in a few minutes. Take vitamins, eat right, and sleep right. Take vitamins, eat right, sleep right. Drink plenty of water, things like that. Exercise, okay? Develop an exercise routine. For me personally, 3 to 5 days a week. Used to be every day. Now it's about 3 to 5 days a week. But I get a moderate exercise, so that's good for my age, okay? I'm in my late 30s. And as you age, you got to be careful with the intensity of your workouts, okay? If you're younger and you can do intense workouts, that's great. If you're a drug addict, you want to sweat those toxins out at a sauna. You want to get that cardio in, build your heart strength and things like that. That's great. You want to build strength? That's great, okay? Do what's best for your DNA, your physical composition, and your anatomy, okay? And your genetics, okay? Do what's best for you. Whether you're a man or a woman, okay? At whatever age you are. Develop a budget. You got a budget, whether you're on welfare, whether you're working, whether you're the CEO of a company, whatever your budget is, right? If your friends and family's helping you, whatever your budget is, make a budget. What you need, groceries, things like that. Make a budget plan. Try not to spend over your budget. Cell phone, credit cards, all that stuff. Make sure you're making more than you're dishing out. Okay. Make sure you're on top of your budget. Okay. Make sure you're on top of your A game. Stay on point. Okay. Be good at math. It's kind of like a puzzle, right? You got to figure this thing out. It's like math. Okay. Just a puzzle, right? Figure it out. And be good at it. Okay. Be good at it. Obviously, the best thing you can do with this math game is just develop a skill. Get certified. Get certified in something. Develop a career in something. Get educated in something. Get some certificates in something, and earn more. Right? You're going to be more valuable with your knowledge and skill set. So you'll be able to take your skills, make more money. Then you could do more with that math problem, right? Now you got a higher budget, $100,000 a year, whatever it is, $50,000, $100,000 a year. Now you got a budget for a house, car, kids, vacations, whatever you need. All right, healthy food, quality vitamins, all that stuff. Also understand, think about where you want to be in 10 years. Think about where you want to be in 10 years. Where are you going to be 5, 10 years, 20 years, okay? I know they usually do that in middle school and say, where do you want to end up in life, 20 years and stuff like that. But if you're an addict, you haven't thought about it in a while, okay? If you're addicted, think about where you want to be in 10 years. Still addicted to drugs? Will you even be alive in 10 years? You're still drinking or smoking, you're going to get lung cancer and all that stuff, or you're doing drugs, you're going to OD, you're going to get a bad batch, and it's going to be an end, right? We talked about this. You're going to have an obituary, your family's going to have to go to your funeral and pay for it, and the drug dealer's not going to pay for it, okay? So drug dealer's not your friend, okay? Drug dealer does not care about you. He cares about his money. And just you being a fiend, you're just a fiend to a drug dealer. If a drug dealer's watching this, and they'll get upset because I'm speaking the truth, and it's almost like they might have these relationships with their customers and their clients, and they might, develop some sort of emotion, but they truly, when it comes down to it, you're not really their direct family. You're not really their blood family. They don't have any serious ties. Otherwise, they would be giving you free drugs. And if they're giving you free drugs, then you really got to watch out, because they're going to want something from you, right? But if they're charging you, obviously they just want your money, right? So develop a budget. Think where you want to be in 10 years. Healthy, in a house, what kind of car, what city, what town, what friends you want to have, what career you want to have, what education you want to have, how many times you want to go to church in a month. Once a month, twice, 2 Sundays a month, every Sunday, how many times you want to go to church, okay? Things like that. What kind of content do you want to make, or books you want to write, or education you want to get, where you want to be in 10 years, okay? Things like that. So understand and what you're going to leave behind, right? Your legacy. You can leave your legacy behind while you're still alive, and then build upon it as you age, and just your legacy will just get stronger as you grow and develop and evolve and mature, okay? Your legacy will just become stronger. So develop your legacy, okay? Understand that music can trigger you, okay? Relationships or people can trigger you. People can trigger you. Other drug addicts can trigger you. Your drug dealers can trigger you. Relationships, bad relationships that, where there's drugs involved, or alcohol or anything like that, it could be a trigger, right? You could do more drugs and relapse. Music is a trigger for, mental illness or, relapse and things like that, depending on the music you listen to. A lot of, hip hop or rock and things like that. People just want to have that feeling, go to a rave, listen to techno, whatever it is, right? Whatever artist you listen to, or, genre, or, category of music, techno, whatever it is, right? A lot of people do drugs when they listen to music. There's nothing else to do, right? You want to listen to something, you want to party. At parties, there's music, whatever kind of music there is. Then you listen to music later, you get addicted later, you got your headphones in, you're blaring music, you're annoying your neighbors and all that stuff, but you're ODing, right? You're doing a lot of drugs, and the music is just going to make you do more drugs and keep you in that cycle. Then you hear the music out of the blue, and you just want to do more drugs. So understand that music has that psychological effect, right? And you can't let it control you. You have to be stronger than any type of music, no matter how sad, no matter what they're talking about, no matter what emotions or feelings that it brings up. You cannot let your emotions change or be affected by any kind of music, okay? Any kind of words, any kind of argument. You have to be strong enough to be, no matter what happens, no matter how I feel, if I get a divorce or something happens or I lose my job, I'm not going to turn to drugs or alcohol, right? I'm going to do the right thing. I'm just going to work hard and, work my way to the top again. If I get dropped to the bottom, if I get demoted, if I get fired, all this stuff, I'm going to work my way to the top from the bottom once again, okay, to prove myself. That's how it's got to be, right? So delete social media, okay? If you're in a serious, situation where you got drug dealers around you, or you got gang members around you, you're living somewhere unsafe community, your kid, if you're a parent listening to this, and you're in fear for your kid, or your child, however old they are, teenager or young adult, and they're addicted to drugs, and the drug dealers are manipulating them or communicating with them, and they have that attachment and that bond that is hard to break because they have that psychological and chemical dependence, right? So one way to kind of disappear off the grid is obviously deleting social media, all their social media, taking their phone, deleting social media, new phone, new number, get a new number, new phone number, make aliases. If you want social media, make aliases. I wouldn't recommend social media at all, but use an alias, right? Unless you're a business or professional or whatever like that. But if you just got friends, you're networking, partying, stuff like that, using it for fun, entertainment, use a completely fake name. To be 100% safe, don't use social media at all, right? There's other ways, right? Stick with Netflix, Amazon Prime, books, education, making money, getting a career, working for the government, joining the military, going to college, learning a trade, things like that, being productive, doing the right thing for you and your family, and setting a future up for yourself, okay? Delete social media, change your phone number, and leave town, okay? You might have to leave the state. Like I said, for me as a psychiatric patient, I can go anywhere in any state all across America and just say, I'm hearing voices, I'm a threat to myself, please let me stay here at this hospital, at this psych unit, because I think I could hurt myself, or maybe they might put me on pills or an injection, or give me some Zyprexa or Haldol or something. But if I really need to stay somewhere, 3 hots in a cot is three meals and a place to stay, and probably a TV, a few books. Sometimes you could just shoot the shit with some patients, talk, just hang out, have some conversations, learn from each other, right? Make some friends possibly, right? And if you're in a situation like that and it's an emergency, go to hospital, psych unit, if you have to, try to find a place where you can get an RV. If you have to, get a hotel. If you have to, stay with a friend, stay with a family, stay at a shelter, homeless shelter. There's places you could go, battered women's and children's centers. Say you're battered, this and that, or emotionally battered, or you have pushed around, you've been pushed around and things like that, and they'll be looking for marks or whatever, but just say, look, you're in danger, this and that, you're being psychologically, there's gangs around you. You might have to tell them the truth. Call the cops, so you need a place to stay, and hopefully they find you. They can't just leave you on the street. There has to be ways, and one of the ways is to dial 211. Dial 211, and it gives you any resources, right? If you're having real trouble, you need to talk to someone, obviously call 988 and tell them all the situation, right? You got to move, leave town, you need somewhere to stay, shelter, some sort of shelter, homeless shelter, battered women's children's center, or a hospital, and just get set up into an RV, into an apartment, or into a house, whatever you can afford, okay? And if you have to leave town, leave the city from these gang members and drug dealers, somewhere safe, that gives you a second chance at life, and your child a second chance at life, so that they can flourish and grow and survive and live a full life and not be addicted to these drugs or psychologically manipulated by these sociopaths and psychopaths, okay? So keep that in mind, right? Those are super helpful and more extreme in nature, but deleting social media, changing your phone number, leaving the city and the state, okay? And that should help, the situation. You might have to move a couple times, right? But just depending on what happens in the situation, and if they get involved in something again. But drug dealers are all across America, right? You could research on Google, what are some safe cities, what are the safest cities in the state, things like that, and find somewhere safe, okay? What are the most affordable cities, the most affordable, safest cities, right? Affordable and safe cities in America. Give me a list, all right? So you could Google that kind of stuff, and there's places all over America, right? Now you could stay at shelters or maybe hospitals by telling them you're, I've already mentioned that, a danger to yourself or others. So that's pretty much the end of it, right? I wanted to show this chess board, right? Life's a game of chess, okay? Life's a game of chess. Every move you make on the chessboard, right? It's a chess game, right? These drug dealers are playing a chess game, and they're trying to sell you drugs, make money. When you die, that's a checkmate, right? They just played the next game. It's the next game for them. For you, it's the end of your kid's life. It's the end of your family's member's life or your loved one's life. And it's just a strategic game, okay? And if you understand that, it's not like, I'm not taking this lightly. I'm not making light of the situation, but this is a potential way that psychopaths and sociopaths might think on the street, right? Your family members don't know. They're not good at chess. They might never have learned the game. And the street game of chess to a drug dealer is selling all these drugs, having their crew sell drugs on the corners or territory. They wanna sell these potent lethal drugs. People die, it doesn't matter. It's just a checkmate. It's nothing to them, right? It's just a tally mark on the wall for them, okay? And that's all it is, right? They're not going to pay for the funeral, none of that, right? So you don't want to get checkmated. You want to be good at this game. You might have to move multiple things and multiple strategies and avenues of approach and different methods and things of that nature, right? You have to think 100 moves ahead or 1,000 moves ahead, right? Where are you going to move? Where are you going to live? Where are you going to work? How are you going to make money? Where are you going to go that's safe? Who are you going to trust, right? Who are you going to trust? Who can you trust with your life, right? Who are you going to let enter your circle of your friends and family? Things like that, right? So it's a serious chess game that you have to think about these moves, because life, when you make certain moves, it's like that, right? This is a hiking game, right? For me to go hiking, but I'm also thinking about the future too. I want to be that wise old man, right? That gives encouraging words of wisdom to a younger generation, or even the elderly, or certain people, civilians and things like that. Since I'm ex-military, I could speak from my experience. And one of these days I'm going to need this walking around, because I'm already aging now. I'm feeling the effects of that, and my mind works a certain way, right? I think of this whole situation, this whole recovery thing, like a chess game. You can also go to recovery.com. That'll give you a list of recovery centers. Okay, you get a list of recovery centers and figure out where's the best recovery center, sobriety center, detox center in your state and city, things like that. So you can do a lot to help your friends and family before something bad happens. Okay, I want to give this information to make it freely available, because it's not out there. If you enjoyed this content, you can support it by buying any one of my ebooks. It's only $12, and a percentage of the profits goes to support orphanage or battered women's and children's center across America. Okay, starting with San Antonio orphanage, because that's where I'm from. I'm going to branch out to other orphanages across America and potentially globally, and also battered women's and children's center across America and potentially globally as well. So if you enjoy this content, support, purchase an ebook. You can read from it, learn from it. My religious one is good. My autobiography is good. It talks about my experiences. And, I got some new novels coming out and things like that. But just I hope you enjoy this content. Please support. And we'll make a difference in society together, and help keep our families and communities safe, okay? I apologize for the extreme nature of this content. I wanted to be as blunt and, truthful as possible and honest as possible from my perspectives and from what I've learned from in my perception, okay, about drug dealers and how they think. I've never personally dealt drugs. I was a drug addict, but I understand from seeing all the stuff that happens on the street and documentaries and things I've witnessed that there's a lot of evil out there and evil in the world, and it's just the way people are. They're just wired incorrectly, or things like that. They're just born into a certain environment to where it's what they need to do to survive. Okay, and it's not that we should feel sorry for them or anything, but we got to know that there's sharks out there. There's piranhas and sharks. There's bear traps. It's a jungle, right? It's a fucking jungle, and there's quicksand and all things like that. You have to look out for all these traps, right? There's all sorts of traps. There's all sorts of things that happen in a car accident, things that happen in a plane accident or whatever, right? So you have to just analyze every situation, be as competent as possible, make the best decisions possible for the safety and security of your friends and family. Okay, think 1,000 moves ahead, right? At least, and make the best decisions you can. All right, so that's it for now. Thanks again. Once again, I'm Don Miguel Castaneda, ex-Marine Sergeant, and nationally certified intervention professional, nationally certified life coach and recovery coach. I'll be making more of these videos. I hope you enjoy them, and I hope you support this site so we can provide, contributions to orphanages and battered women's and children's centers. Thank you, and take care.